loads of weapons, a brain-dead horde, and the few smart people in the area trying desperately to escape, we're not talking about the North Florida Gun and Knife Show. This is World War Z, the game. So welcome back to the third video of my World War Z, the game trilogy. In the first episode, I introduced you to the characters and the lore. In the second episode, I showed you some of my sweet-ass gameplay and what the game world looks like. But now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. This is the official review of World War Z, the game. World War Z is a 2019 co-op zombie shooter developed by Saber Interactive and published by Focus Home Interactive. This is a 4-person co-op shooter in the same vein as Left 4 Dead, Vermintide, and Earthfall. World War Z, the game mixes elements from the book and the movie of the same name. It's available on PC, PS4, and Xbox. So since I've already done 2 videos that introduce you to the game, I just want to get straight into the review. As you guys know, when I talk about games, I talk about the good, the bad, then I give it my score. That being said, let's start with the good. Yes, this game is inspired by Left 4 Dead, and that's very evident in the story and the mission format, as well as the types of special zombies that you fight. But it adds enough new stuff to reinvigorate a co-op shooter genre that has gone stale despite my love for it. When you are fighting these hordes of zombies, there are literally hundreds everywhere scrambling all over the screen, up fences, up walls, under things. It's fantastic. Even cooler are the pyramids that they frantically create and scramble up in order to rip you apart. These slowly ascending zombie pyramids look just like they do in the movie, except instead of sitting there and watching it passively, you actually get to destroy it. Not only are the hordes and the pyramids a danger, but you also have to deal with the specials, which become more prolific with each skill level. That's why I really love the super cool defense systems you have at your disposal. Their use is really strategic, they're really important, and it's just damn fun to use. You can electrify fences and floors, you can use level-based hazards, you can fire mortars into the crowd, you can place manned 50 caliber machine guns, and you can also put down auto turrets in strategic areas around the map during big standoff moments that are fast, fun, and frantic. The 5 skill levels in the game all feel unique from one another in a few ways. How hard it is to kill the zombies, how easy it is to die, how many hordes, how aggressive the hordes are, how many specials there are, and of course the amount of experience points you receive. Not only are the experience points a good way to gauge how well you did, but they unlock better weapons and perks for your character classes. The progression system is fantastic, with you being able to choose what you want to work on and push for it. You don't have any RNG bullshit or microtransactions involved. It's just skill, will, and time that you put into the game. There are 6 different classes in the game, which all do play differently. They have a deep and varied skill tree, which can even make 2 people in the same class play completely different. And of course, they can serve various levels of importance during missions depending on what their skills are. The first class is the Gunslinger class. It's all about the guns and the ammo and killing shit. It's really great for all those selfish players worried about themselves. Just kidding. It can be great to have a solid gunslinger in your group. A skilled gunslinger in the group can slay loads of zombies and cover the other classes while they do their team-based stuff. Then you have the Hellraiser, who is all about explosives and crowd control. So when those big hordes are coming in, they can throw down explosives and just really destroy them. Then you have the Slasher class. The Slasher class is really great for melee-minded people or for those of you who can't shoot for shit. There is no team damage from melee strikes or chainsaws, so having a good slasher can actually help the team. Of course, on the other side of that coin, if you have a shit slasher, they excel at ruining your team's lines of fire, and they're really great at getting mad at you when they jump in front of where you are already shooting. And the 4th class is the Medic class, for those team-minded players who realize the mission comes first and helping keep your team alive is everything, especially in a squad-based game. Of course, with me being an actual medic and firefighter before, I tend to lean towards the support characters. And that's why I really like the 5th class as well, the Fixer. The Fixer keeps squads topped up on ammo. They can also deploy a smoke screen to mask your presence so you can get out of sticky situations. And with the right build, they can actually revive themselves after the entire team has been down. So when your mission would normally be failed and you'd have to do that whole level over, they can get up and revive everybody. So it's definitely a clutch class, but it takes a lot of skill to play as. In one mission, I actually rescued 18 different people and saved the mission twice. And the last class is the Exterminator. They're all about fire and team defenses. Like the Hellraiser, the Exterminator can really do heavy damage to the different hordes as they come in, but they also bolster your team defenses as a whole, giving your defenses more ammo, having them last longer, and actually being able to reactivate defenses that have gone down that none of the other players can. With these 6 different classes and the 2 or 3 subclasses that each of them have, it's easy to learn how to play, but it is tough to master. If you put the time in, you can become a great player and you can really do a lot of clutch stuff to help save your team, no matter what class that you are running. And that, of course, comes in handy when you have these huge hordes of zombies coming in. And that's one of the things that's so impressive about this game is you'll have hundreds of zombies coming in and you're in the middle of this huge level and there's no load screens and there's no real graphical hitches or anything like that. It's really solid. But co-op isn't the only thing that World War Z has to offer. You can actually jump into a multiplayer game mode with 3 of your friends, and these levels are PvPvE. So not only are you fighting other people, you're also still fighting hordes of zombies. It can be pretty fun. And I'll be honest, I didn't expect it. It was a very unexpected bonus in this sweet package. You get to play all your favorite modes like Domination, King of the Hill, Team Deathmatch, and more. And this mode even has its own character classes, loadouts, and progression tree. But the cool thing is all of the points earned in multiplayer can also be used to upgrade your character classes and weapons in co-op, and vice versa. All the co-op missions feel really unique from one another. Sure, they're all shoot zombies and defend, but the characters, stories, and pacing are very different. Some of them are really straightforward shooters, some of them have stealth focus, some of them even have escort stuff. But all of them look very different from one another as well. You've got the streets of New York City, the back alleys, the subway, all kinds of stuff. You've got Jerusalem's dark and claustrophobic feel. It's very fenced in with a lot of military stuff. You've got Moscow's snow-covered levels that are filled with all of these areas that have tons of ways for the zombies to get in. And then you have Japan's bright, wide open areas, and the mission feels very different than all of the other missions do. All of these levels of missions have unique qualities that make them all memorable. When you're working with a solid team that communicates, this game is so damn fun and it makes your crew feel like badasses. And I really love seeing the differences between the character classes and guns from when you start to when you have them all the way maxed out. And as you bump up both your character classes and your guns, you can progress through the skill levels. And no matter how hard the skill level that you choose, it feels fair and challenging. And of course, that's if you have a great squad that communicates and really has their shit together. Speaking of your squad, the AI-controlled teammates are solid shooters and good communicators. They stick by you and they don't stray off and do their own thing, which is something a lot of human players in this game really need to work on. I do love the fact that it's a level-based game with clearly outlined missions. That's super rare these days. I also enjoyed the third-person perspective, which helps with seeing surrounding areas and if zombies are coming at you. Some people are saying they wish it was a first-person shooter. I get that, but at the same time, it's not the same thing as a lot of other co-op shooters or zombie shooters or whatever. I think the first person could actually hurt a little bit. One of the things that's cool is even after you are down, you can still look around and watch your teammates' backs and communicate with them and warn them if, there's a special or a horde of zombies coming up on them or anything. The level detail and the design is well thought out. The scripted events are pretty neat. The stealth aspects are great, and if you take your time and you and your team have great discipline, you can clear out, whole chunks of missions without being spotted, and it's a lot easier. Sometimes it's even more enjoyable. Yeah, I love running through and just massacring everything, but it's really nice to have a well-coordinated team go through and just sneak by and kill a bunch of zombies and the rest don't know that you're there, especially on the higher skill levels. And something I mentioned as a bad in my Earthfall review, this game directly addresses. Unlike a lot of co-op games and co-op shooters, you have these really cool little intros and outros. The story is put out through different interactions of the team and the NPCs. There's great banter. You have really cool lore and unlockable movies that give you insight on the characters and the world as a whole. It feels really fleshed out and it adds a lot more depth to the game. The first time you go through the campaign, you're going to be hooked from start to finish. You're going to want to play it all the way through if possible. And if you start off on the normal mode like you should just to get familiar with everything, you can do that in one sitting. But once you start bumping up to the higher skill levels, it's definitely going to take you a lot longer because you should be much more careful and much more methodical about how you play. But that's where the fun comes in, especially when you play with friends. The gunplay feels phenomenal. It's got really good audio, great force feedback, and depending on how high your character and gun are upgraded, seeing zombies get hit and go down or straight get blown to pieces with the fully pimped out kit is a pretty kick-ass experience. And the more you play, the more laser-like your aim is going to get. And again, like I said, it'll make you feel like a real badass. I definitely recommend being methodical about your play, even if you're moving slowly. Remember, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and that holds true in this game, especially if you're at the higher skill levels and friendly fire is turned up. The music, sound design, and voice acting are all pretty solid. You can tell that Saber Interactive put in a lot of work on all of the above.
You are in my world now!
Switching to hell.
Down you go, bitches! Help me! Down you go, bitches!
You can also tell that they put a lot of work into the lighting, the shading, keeping the loading screens as short as possible, and so many other things that are pretty weak in recent games, especially in big budget AAA titles. Even though this game takes place in an alternate reality, where the world's being destroyed by zombies, it has a more grounded feel and sound and look than a lot of other zombie games. It's like if you took a realistic tactical shooter and blended it with a far-fetched zombie game. It has that nice balance. I also love the fact that the gore, the language, the vibe, just the overall presentation feels really grown up. They don't pull punches at all, and they go all in with all of this stuff, unlike so many other shooters, including Earthfall. And I think a lot of the people that I've played with who actually do communicate, who do use their microphones, that's why they take this game a bit more serious. We're still having fun, we're still talking shit and all that kind of stuff, but they tend to be a lot more mature than the crowd that I play with in other games. It's just an epic story on an intimate scale that really keeps the characters' backgrounds and a lot of other stuff in mind, which makes it feel massive even though it's just you and a few other people. When it's just you and 3 of your friends shredding hordes to pieces with guns, grenades, blades, mines, you name it, you just feel fucking awesome. And the build up before these standoffs, when you're running around with your team finding the defenses, setting them up, strategizing, it just gives the game a lot more depth, and it makes it feel a lot more interesting than a lot of other co-op shooters have. The game just really overcomes all of these tropes that have become so common in the genre, and it does it with all these new features, rock solid polish, and better technology. It basically elevates itself above all of its predecessors. And what's really cool, it does it with the players' wallets and their feedback that they've given the developers in mind. So those are all the things that I thought were good about World War Z, but let's get into that World War Z badness. The connectivity issues that I've had in this game, and others have had in this game, really hurt it. I've had periodic disconnects on levels, or had levels fail to load. But compounding the issue is the fact that all of the work you did before the game disconnected is void. All the kills, the mission progress, all the XP that you earned, it's all trashed. It never happened. So I really wish they would put in some kind of feature that even if the game disconnects, you still get something out of it. And that happened quite a few times, some of them during the final battles of some of the bigger missions, which left myself and my teammates really frustrated. Yes, the nature of these type of games, these co-op shooters, is for you to play these levels over and over till you get really good at them, till you progress and unlock all your stuff. So you are going to play through these levels again, that's a given, but you don't want to have to do it because when you got to the end it failed and you lost all of the shit that you earned. And while you might have some great teammates, there are going to be other teammates that are not so great. There is no type of system to deal with people. You can't rate them, you can't report them, I don't even think you can kick them, and that's a shame, especially when you have people that are doing team killing, you've got them running off doing their own thing, leaving teammates down, and you fail the mission because of their stupidity. And the team shooting and killing on purpose is a thing. It's not a huge thing, but it's there. While the AI teammates may be great shooters and move well and really try to revive you even if they put themselves in danger, they won't pick up anything and they will not set anything up. So even if you have 3 computer-controlled teammates, you're basically playing those missions on your own when it comes to setting up defenses or retrieving items and bringing them back to a certain spot. If you play this game on Insane, you're going to have missions where you have to pick up 12 things and bring them from point A to point B. All the while, each time that you pick one up, a bunch of hordes of zombies are going to come in. And sometimes they'll have 2 or 3 of the same special, and there's usually 2 or 3 waves of these hordes. So good luck on that. As far as glitches go, I have seen some. You will see some occasional floating or clipping with the different zombies. You'll definitely have some cheap spawn takedowns from specials, or like an instant horde from an area that you just cleared out and all of a sudden they're behind you and they take you down. That can be pretty frustrating and feel pretty cheap, but it's not nearly as bad as, say, The Division 2. If you're playing with people who aren't communicating, the game still is fun, but it's not nearly as fun as it is with a team of people talking. It's like a third of the fun, really. But that's not the devs' fault, that's these shitty players' faults. And if you are playing with randoms who aren't communicating and you try to bump it up to the very hard or the insane skill level, it just becomes an exercise in frustration because you'll have new players, you'll have players that haven't leveled up enough, or people who just don't care or communicate. They will really ruin your missions. If you want to have a really fun time but keep the game still challenging, whether you have players who aren't talking or you're playing with the computer-controlled AI, I highly recommend that you play it on hard. It's just the right balance of fun and frustration, which really is how it should be. If you're watching this and you haven't played the game or you've been playing it and you're having a hard time, just keep in mind you might not be on the skill level that's right for you. Also, remember to utilize your class for what it's for. If you're a medic, help your teammates. If you're a gunslinger, just kill people, don't get in the way. So that's what I thought was good and bad about World War Z. Bottom line, this is my favorite game of 2019 so far. It is so much fun. There's so much content here. It's a blast if you're playing with friends, even if you're playing with randoms that communicate. This game is just so much goddamn fun. But as much as I love this game, as much as I want to play with my friends, as much as I want to play it again and level up all my different characters and guns, I'm not blind to its flaws. I know it's not perfect. I know it has issues. But now I want to say something before I get to that review score. This game is a AA title. It's that mid-market level title. It's only $35 on the PC and $40 on the Xbox and the PlayStation. And for that relatively low price, I think you're getting a damn good amount of content. Especially these days when cookie cutter AAA titles are coming out that cost anything from $60 all the way up to $200 depending on the versions that you get. Not only do you get all this great content, but you also get it with a very slick presentation. And of course, it is the spiritual sequel to Left 4 Dead, but it takes Left 4 Dead's formula and actually builds upon it. So while it's familiar, it doesn't feel like the exact same thing. See, the thing is, so many people have been doing these reviews on all of these AAA titles which are coming out broken and have 50 gigabyte day one patches and they're games as a service. And don't forget guys, we'll be putting out a roadmap soon that'll let you know what you can expect in the first year of the game. And of course, all that stuff that you're going to see in the roadmap was already in the game, but we just cut it out to make it look like we created a lot of content to make it worth your time and money. Oh, and those hundreds and hundreds of bugs that you guys reported, some of them game breaking, we'll fix them as soon as we can. It might take a couple weeks for some of them, maybe longer, but we'll get there, so stick with us and keep playing our game. And what's crazy, so many reviewers and these professional magazines and websites and so many YouTubers are letting all of this shit slide. Of course, that's because a vast majority of them are shills. They're game changers and all-stars and whatever all these other titles are that companies give to people that will hawk their games for them. And that's one of the things that's frustrating for me as a player and a reviewer. I see so many people putting out these cynical reviews that just trash these good AA titles like this that don't cost as much as the AAA, that honestly come out in a much better condition, that give you a ton of content. And what's hilarious is a lot of times there are a ton of these YouTubers and magazines and websites and even, different people on Twitter and Facebook and whatever that complain about there not being enough AA titles and solid budget titles. And then when they do get them, something like this, not only do they not support it, they nitpick the shit out of it. And something else that really annoyed me about a lot of the reviews that I've read and seen for this game since it came out are, you could tell they only played the game for a little bit. They maybe played on easy or normal. They played through the levels and that was it. They really didn't go in depth. They didn't try to level up a lot of their stuff. They didn't play the multiplayer. They didn't really give it the chance it deserved like they did with a lot of these other games that are way too long, all these open world games and, all these buggy games as a service and all this stuff. But why not? Why is that? Is it because it's AA and it doesn't deserve the same attention? That's probably how they feel, but I think that's bullshit. Is this game perfect? Of course not, but it's pretty damn fun. And I did read that they'll be putting out a roadmap for all future content and that content will be free for the people who bought the game. But honestly, if they put out some more DLC, kind of like Left 4 Dead did back in the day, I would pay for it. Not only because the game is good and it deserves it, but because I want to support the developer and see them make more good games in the future. I really encourage you guys to at least give this game a try. Not just because I want to play with you and I think it'd be fun, but because the developer deserves that. So with that being said, what is my score? Drum roll, please. 8 out of 10.